Hi guys, this is an extension to my Alien Isolation review. I did mention one thing I really didn't like was the save stations that were actually physically in game. But I wanted to save it for this video because I would really like to rant quite passionately about this and really pour vitriol onto this kind of a mechanic. I would like to describe how much I utterly hate this feature without it becoming the topic of discussion for the review video, because as I said in the review video, I did actually like the game. In fact, I loved the game. I thought it was a brilliant achievement in spite of this utterly horrific game mechanic. Now, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, this mechanic is basically a way to save your game. And where most games have something like, you go to the menu and you just save a game, or you perhaps hit a key and it quick saves, or you auto save at certain key points, this game has save stations. These are actual physical stations, machines in the game where Ripley, the main character, goes to and she saves herself or something. She takes an identification card in her hands, she puts it into the machine, and then you get this pop-up message saying, are you sure you want to save? After about 3 or 4 seconds, it forces you to wait for 4 or 5 seconds. You then click yes. It then forces you to wait for 2 or 3 more seconds. She puts her save card away and continues on her journey. Now, as you can imagine, the first problem I have with this mechanic is it is immersion breaking. You are constantly forced to accept that you are in a game, but more than that, so is Ripley. Ripley is herself doing something in-game to save. Now, you could argue that it's immersion breaking to press a quick save button. And to some degree, that is true. You have to consciously say to yourself, okay, I'm going to save now. But it's sort of a side thought. You can have it at the back of your consciousness. Just click the save and then carry on. It's a minor blip on your immersion trip. Whereas this particular mechanic, there's nothing subtle about it. It's completely in your face. You can hear the save station from quite far away. It makes this beep. And you hear the beep and you start making your way to it. The save process can take anywhere from about 10 seconds to say 2 or 3 minutes. I mean, normally, quick save, it's a 1/10 of a second thought, press button, you're done. Try to ignore it. Auto save's the same. A little icon comes up, game saving, you ignore it. Save stations, it's like beep, beep, beep. Okay, right, I'm going to go, oh, it's over there, okay. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go here, I'm going to go right, look around, is it safe? Okay, I'm going to go to the save station. I'm going to take out my save ID card. I'm going to plug it in. It's going to wait for a few seconds. Doot, doot, doot. And then, do you want to save? Yes or no? Because, you might have just spent the last minute crawling to this station for giggles. Yes. And then you can carry on actually playing. This is massively immersion breaking. This is, I mean, again, I can't reiterate this enough. It's not just you that has to accept you're in a game, so does Ripley. Saving her existence on this machine becomes an integral part of her life. It becomes an almost priority. And it's impossible to avoid. You could go, oh, well, just, pretend it's her logging a diary or something, or just try and ignore it, or pretend that it's not her doing it. You just get into a point and it's saving automatically. But you can't do that because Ripley, when you're playing Ripley, you make decisions based upon saves. If you've got to get from one place to another place, you might not take the quickest way or the safest way. You may actually take the more dangerous way just because it happens to pass a save spot. Or you might be doing something that, right, I'm going to go here on my journey. Oh, you know what? I'm going to walk back for 5 minutes and I'm going to go and save myself and then walk back here for 5 minutes. I'm going to do that rather than go, because I don't know where the next save station is. So I'm going to do that. Ripley is doing stuff in the world because of her save station addiction. She is literally, it becomes her main goal. It becomes her core being, the center of her being. She's not wandering along thinking, I'm gonna die, oh my god, please, I've got to get away. She's thinking, oh my god, it's been at least 10 minutes since I saved, I've got to find the save station. And that mechanic had me having to concentrate, literally using all my powers of concentration to literally try and pretend there were no save stations. I don't know if you noticed it. I tried to use the save stations sometimes in between episodes, so I'd cut them out. I also cut out the bit where it asked you whether you wanted to save or not, you know, for immersion for you guys. But I also tried not to constantly sort of say, okay, I've got to look for a save station. But it was in the back of my mind, and I kept having to try and push it out of the back of my mind. Try not to talk about it. And even then, I still did it. I'd see the station and go, oh my god, am I relieved to see you? Am I relieved to see you? You're a yellow telephone box. Oh, no. I've got an alien coming. I've run out of flamer fuel, but my god, I'm so happy to see a yellow box that's going beep, 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 beep. The thing is, you know, you could argue that saving in a menu or saving with a quick save is immersion breaking, and I totally agree. I mean, autosave is probably the least immersion breaking, especially if it's done without telling you. But this is so in your face. This is just absolutely ridiculous to me. It's one step away from the in-game character talking to another NPC and them saying, right, you need to look down there, but you're going to need a torch. Unless, of course, you've set the gamma on your monitor really high, and then you'll probably not need a torch quite so much. It'd be literally like the characters talking about your gamma settings. It's just, I'm sorry, it breaks immersion, and it really, really does. And I mean, for some people, it's not going to break immersion because they're probably not immersed in the game, and that's fine. But I'm not totally sure why they did this. I'm not completely sure what benefit it brought. Well, that's not actually true. I kind of know what benefit it brought, and I completely and passionately disagree with the idea of bringing it. You see, the basic idea behind this, I think, was to add tension to the game, to make you concentrate and avoid, well, basically, it was to stop people save scumming. And the problem is a lot of people do save scumming. Save scumming is where you just keep saving, and then you move, and if you make a mistake, you reload, and then, you know, you do something different. And it's something that a lot of people seem to do. I'm surprised at the number of people who do that. They literally will play a stealth game, and they'll sneak along, go left, get seen, got reload. But they won't even wait to die. They won't wait till they die. They just get seen, reload. Okay, this time I'll go right. Okay, I'll go a bit further. Oh, we're seen again. Okay, reload. I'll go right, but this time I'll go. It's like, it's called save scumming. And this, I guess, was to try and stop you doing that. You couldn't just save whenever you wanted, which is fine. I get it. You want them to feel some tension, but I have two problems with that. First of all, the nature of having certain points, and those points being ones the player knows, kind of rob it of the tension anyway, because it's kind of like, oh, I've just saved. Right, I'm fine now. If the alien attacks me now, I've got nothing to lose. You know, all right, I saved. The save thing, it's 20 seconds over there. I'm happy now. I'm relaxed. I'm no longer got a fear of death. It's been 10 minutes since I save, and I've done loads of stuff, and I haven't saved. Oh my god, I'm so scared. I'm so scared. And again, you're not scared of dying. You're scared of having to repeat everything. It's not. It doesn't keep the tension up. You can remove your fear of death temporarily by saving, and you know, and that's just not working. So if you want them to feel that kind of tension all the way through the game, you have to not let them know where you've saved, which would mean autosave at certain times or certain points. Much better idea. Perhaps do multiple saves, and if they die, send them back 5 minutes. Not to the last save, but you could save once every minute. But when they die, you send them back 5 whole minutes or something like that. I don't know. So that there's always this constant fear of losing, the progress for the last 5 minutes, rather than this variable fear. But the other reason I think it fails is when you die and you're forced to redo, the tension is very often gone. It's like, okay, I did all that, I did this, and I did that, and then I got caught here. Fine. And you just go running. And for the next, instead of it taking you 10 minutes to get from A to B as it did last time, it'll take you only about a minute, 2 minutes, as you just rush, or you do exactly the right things, all the things you knew what to do. And maybe you're even frustrated, so you really rush, and then you get killed again, and then you reload, and then you rush, and you get killed again, something like that. It doesn't actually enhance the experience when you have to repeat the last 10 minutes. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. Once you've died, the experience after that is not tense. It's frustrating. The period before you die might have been tense, but for all the wrong reasons. The period after that is simple frustration. You're repeating stuff you did before. This time you're trying to do it better so you get to the save station. And in the end, I think it's just aimed at the wrong type of people. You're aiming this at people who don't care about dying. You're aiming this at people who play games and go, I don't know, this isn't scary at all. It's I died, but who cares? I'll just do it again. And you're trying to make them scared. Don't bother. They're not your target audience. Your target audience are people who want to be scared. They're people who want to feel the terror of death. When I played Alien Isolation, it's the same as all the other horror games. I play it as if that is me and as if dying is the worst thing that could happen. I play it as if that's the ultimate thing to avoid. I mean, people comment on this, oh good, why are you acting so scared? It's only a game. I don't play it like it's a game. I play it like it's real, because otherwise there's no point playing a horror movie. A horror game. It's kind of like watching a horror movie and just constantly saying to yourself, but it's only actors. But it's only actors. I mean, alright, his head's chopped off, but it's not real. It's just a dummy with... If you just kept saying that to yourself, it would make the movie pointless. Well, if you're the sort of person who plays a game that way and you need an artificial mechanic to make it scary, the game really wasn't aimed at you. And companies shouldn't be aiming the game at that type of player. They should be aiming it at horror aficionados. And now, I do know it's not the first game to have done this. I do remember Dead Space did something similar to this, didn't it? And I hated it in that as well. But I would compare that game with games like Outlast and Amnesia and say Outlast and Amnesia nailed the horror much better. They nailed it. They got the atmosphere better with the way they did the saving. The saving was, I believe, autosaves actually. It was at certain points it saved. I might be wrong on that actually. I think Amnesia may have even been able to manually save. And again, Amnesia, probably one of the most terrifying games I've ever played. Dead Space was kind of jump scary, but honestly didn't compare to those other games. And I would say Alien Isolation was actually scarier than Dead Space in many ways, although it didn't have quite the jump scares. And it was more immersive and more atmospheric, except for this one bloody awful mechanic. So that is basically it. Now, I know some people are going to disagree and say it was the thing that made the game scary for them, but I can tell you right now, it's the thing that almost made the game not scary for me. It's the thing that had me not fearing for my life, but fearing for my progress. And that's just not a fear for me. I'm not fearful of irritation. I'm irritated by irritation. Repeating something just bugs me. It doesn't scare me. So to me, I appreciate that for some people it will have added a kind of fear. For me, it really threatened to take it away. Now, Alien Isolation was actually such a good game, it managed to overcome that particular problem. But again, as it didn't overcome it completely. And it's the one thing about the game that stopped me saying it was one of the greatest horror games ever, because it was, I mean, to be honest, I don't think it was ever going to match Amnesia, the first one, but you know what, it would have given Outlast a run for its money. It wasn't quite as sick, but it had the kind of tension. I think it should have been a tiny bit shorter, but it was just, I really did enjoy the feeling of the game. This mechanic just kind of brought it down a little. Not enough for me to not recommend the game. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's not a good game because of this. I'm just saying I really cannot describe how much I would have preferred it had it not been there. In the end, each time I have to concentrate on a game mechanic is a small failure for that game, and for any product in general in IT. One of the core principles of design is that people should be thinking of whatever your product produces, whatever your program is supposed to achieve, not how it achieves it. They should be concentrating on the end result, not on the user interface. The user interface should be instinctive. The mechanics of your product should be natural where possible. No one's ever made a perfect product, and no one has ever made a perfect game. But each time you have to focus on a game mechanic is a little down mark. And the more you have to focus on that game mechanic, the more it's a fail point. And when the character in your game also has to focus on that game mechanic, well, let's just say it's hard for me to be immersed in the Alien Isolation world when Ripley herself doesn't seem to be immersed in that world.